Right, the binomial. Now, the binomial, we study it a lot in single math, so we're not going to talk about in depth where it all comes from. We don't need to. But what I will mention is it's largely used with others, so it's used in conjunction with other distributions a lot. All right. So you'll see we've got a couple of these coming up. So we've got some bigger questions coming up. But what I mean by this is we will use it as part of a question that is about something else because it's so basic, it's our bread and butter. So we just really need to remind ourselves of what we need to use the binomial distributions. So is a set or a fixed, let's go fixed n. Let's go for fixed. Fixed is a better word. Is a fixed n attempts at something. It doesn't matter what. It could be pulling a ball out of a bag. It could be, I don't know, 3 buses turning up in an hour. It could be hitting the target. It doesn't matter. If I try and do something a fixed number of times, and we're going to count the number of successes, whatever a success looks like. A success is just whether or not something has happened, and we have a fixed P of success. And there we go. And the little bonus one, but this is true of anything we do essentially. All the attempts have to be independent. That sort of feeds into the idea that P doesn't change. All right, so the probability of success on your 10th attempt is the same as probability of success on your second attempt, third attempt. The independence sort of does that for us. But these are the ideas that we need to identify when a binomial is coming in. So what have we got here? Path trials are independent. Turan must be a probability of success. Absolutely. So we're looking at a probability of success and a fixed number of attempts. And really the one that helps differentiate this for us is probably this one, the fixed number of attempts. And depending on how we do for time, we could always come back and I can try and derive a couple of results for you as well based off the binomial, which are kind of cool. The extra result that we don't have in single maths that we're going to use here, and I'm not going to derive that at least not until we've covered everything and I know if we have time to do some of these cool little proofs. But the variance of a binomial is n times p times 1 minus p. Or sometimes instead of 1 minus p, we might use q. I'll vibe that a little bit. All right. But you've worked a lot with it in your single maths, in your single stats. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's just remind ourselves where everything lives, though. Literally, most of the time, the last few days, anything to do with my calculator, I've been here in the stats menu. And this is where I do think this thing is worth a look at. If you go distribution binomial, BPD is an individual probability, right? I tend to live here in variable. What list means is you can do a bunch of them at the same time. We don't want to. Variable, number of trials, so that's my n. That's the number of successes I'm looking at the probability of. That's my probability. We've got binomial CD, and this is where it comes up. That's if you want a range of values, so anything like that. But whereas I think the class Wiz always does less than or equal to, the CG50, you can put a lower and upper bound in, and we'll show that later. But that is really where it comes in. And then we've got the inverse, which is a little bit wonky for discrete distributions, but we'll try and use that later as well. Luke, how did I learn how to use the CG50? Literally, I got my first one when, so my maths teacher when I was 16, 17 suggested we buy one, and I played with it. You know that thing that no one ever does anymore because you're not to be old and grumpy, right? Not to be old and grumpy, but you expect like really cool UIs on your apps and on your apps back in my day. Um, but I just had to sit down and learn how to use it. And I use the internet, and you can do all kinds of stuff, right? Um, when I was at school, I learned how there is more functionality now, right? There's a lot more functionality. But oh no, distribution. We can do some cool stuff with distributions here. We'll do that in a sec. But you can do programming. If you're into programming languages, you can program it to do all kinds of stuff. I think I made a program that did pH calculations for me. Again, I was just bored one evening. Um, Now we can also do distributions in here. If you get one, you got binomial, and here will tell you show you the tails. When we get onto an actual question with it, I'll go through it in there. But that's equal to, that's in between, and you can do some really fun stuff with it. So Snuffle, is it worth getting one? Honestly, it depends how much time you want to put into learning how to use it. The one exam it is really worth it for is stats, right? Is stats, and that is further stats. If you have got used to using your class whiz, stick with a class whiz. You will know what you've applied for at uni as well. Again, I think if you're doing anything STEMmy, it could be useful. But like I say, the class whiz will do everything that you need it to do. The CG50 offers some quality of life, but it is, depending on how you find it, secondhand or first hand or an offer, it does hover around the £100 mark. So it is a big investment. I am aware of that. All right. I'm very aware that it's not just pocket change. It is something to consider, but you can't just pick it up and go, it's magic. You need to sit down for a few hours and get used to using it, right? Muna say, are you allowed to use the graphing aspect of the exam? Yes, you absolutely are. You will have to learn how to put it in exam mode, but which we can talk about at the end of next Sunday if you want. Yeah, Artin. Again, it is, if you put the time in to use it, it is a great help, but you do need to spend the time to learn how to use it. Yes, actually, Alan, I will agree with you. Graphing polar coordinates. Oh, I was doing the video solutions for the mock paper for it. And you know what? Like trying to justify why a polar graph looks the way it is, sometimes just being able to graph it on the CG50, look at it, and it helps you then retro-engineer why it should look like that. Is it possible to get factors of a number from the CG50? I mean, going off topic a little bit here, but do you know what? Whilst we're talking about this thing, options, numeric, GCD, mod, frac. I mean, probably, if I'm honest with you, but again, it's all about that's calculus. There will be a button for it. There's probably just a fact thing somewhere here that I just haven't seen. So Turin, I assume you mean 12 is 2 squared times 3, right? Because one of the class whizzes does do that, and if it's a functionality on the class whiz, it's a functionality on here. You just have to figure out where it is. It will be somewhere up here. Convert, hyperbolic, probability, numeric, round, integer, absolute. What does frac do? Nope. Oh, the fractional value. It'll give you GCD's LCM, so it should be able to, but I'm not entirely sure. Google it. We'll Google it later. Anyway,